Mel and I were sitting down thinking, okay, what should we present and what should we share with you guys that would actually benefit you as uni students getting into the career, the industry. So that's what we have, which is how to be a marketing girly 101. As you can see, I thought about both the marketing girly, which is probably us, and then this is probably Mel. So both kind of marketing girlies. And then after that, we'll do a little office tour. Our office isn't too big, but there's I can show you around what's fun about this place. This used to be a gym, so there's a lot to it.
A lot of quirks.
A lot of quirks. And then, networking, finish the food, take some photos. We'll be editing them, so take some damn photos, guys. Lee's there. I've politely resourced him to work after hours today, so do take advantage of it because we love a good shot on LinkedIn, so.
Yeah. And also after this presentation, there'll be a portion where you guys are free to ask us any questions. Pretty much that's all there is.
Cool. The way we structure this presentation is essentially we thought, okay, what are the pillars, the topics that we want to touch on with learning how to be a marketing girly? And there's 3 things. The first one is if it cooperates. This is so funny. Guys, I love this. Is it down? It is down. There you go. Industry. So with the industry, oh my God, it's kidding. What are we doing, guys?
Oh, there we go. Oh. Technical difficulties.
We're good. Okay. Industry, where can you go? Marketing, there's a lot of honestly, when I was in uni, I didn't know what to do, where I could go. There's many places, many roles, many jobs, many companies that I could touch on and be in. The first one is us, marketing. What is marketing? Anything that you see online in feed, organic stuff, that's mostly marketing, that's probably marketing. And then there's also advertising, which is all ads. Any big campaigns that you've seen by Coca-Cola or Nike or the Zara one that they got canceled for when the war happened, that one, that's advertising. Then there's media, which is mostly just anything to do with out of home. Advertising and media go hand in hand. Yeah. We've split it up into 2 because one can be about creative advertising and the other one can be advertising media, like the actual dispatching of it, planning of it.
And billboards and stuff, those would go under media.
Radios, digital as well. And then you can get into public relations, PR, whether that be for a person, for a brand, or for a company. Anytime someone messes up, they ring up their PR company and ask for help. Or anytime someone wants to launch something. So for example, my client, Pizza Hut, I don't know if you've seen it, but they're celebrating their 50 years this year. They have their buffet that's open to the public, which you, if you are lucky, got tickets for. If you didn't, so sorry. That ain't my job. I just had to market it online, which is this week. But for PR, for Pizza Hut, they engaged special PR, and special PR essentially reach to their contacts, whether that be on NZ Herald or any new magazines, and put through kind of a brief so that they can then write articles. There's earned media for PR, and then there's also the ones that they pay for. And then you have events and activations. Anytime you see an influencer attend an event, those ones, if you want to get into that, if you're that kind of person that's really organized, and you love planning things in terms of actual events, then definitely events and activations. R&B, for example, anytime you go to Lula Inn and they have those liquor activations, I forgot the brands that they have. ASB Classic, every time you walk around after watching the tennis, there's what are the beer companies? There's Heineken, there's La Roche-Posay, any of those stalls, that's events and activation. And then you have creative, which kind of touches in all of these, but if that's graphic designing, videography, editing, motion graphics, all that jazz. If you like being on the tools, you can get into creative. you want to do that? Or do you want me to do it?
So basically, in a traditional agency, it's pretty much set up in this way. You'll find that in each like agency that you come across, it's super different. Titles kind of interchange and roles can mean different things. That's just the nature of marketing because it's always evolving. But traditionally there's the account service department, production, which includes anything from like video, what Lee's doing over there, to video editing, to basically turning out content. And on the account service side, it's pretty much like what Danya does, which is maintaining the relationship, making sure that the company has business because the clients love us. It's usually for like those people who are like really like people-centric and love like just people basically.
Yeah.
And then there's planning, which is typically for like a traditional agency, it's the strategic team. So they pretty much set the North Star of campaigns, and then the account service team makes sure that the entire company is aligned on that North Star, making sure that the campaign is delivered like correctly in a way that the client wants it.
Yeah.
But you'll find that as marketing evolves, because it's an industry that's always evolving, different kind of these things can mean different things. Like for example, my department is a community management department. Brooke over there is part of my team. And we're kind of like a mixture of like, we assist the strategy from an insight point of view, but for the most part, like we're in the commentary and we're on the social platforms 24/7, like helping feed that audience insight into pretty much the production team and the accounts team, and making sure that we're aligned on those boards. One of the things that our clients always tell us is that like we're the agency in New Zealand that knows social the best, and it's something that we take pride in often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess one of the reasons why we have the where can you go and what are the roles that are available is oftentimes even if they're not new, like leaving uni and they're new to the industry, when you see a job ad and you look to, it's really hard to gauge what the role is. A few months ago, we had an interview with someone who for an account manager role, and they were talking about their current role, which was a performance manager. And she fully thought it was going to be a really cute little marketing girly creating content, organizing campaigns. No, it wasn't. It was all about data, and it was a very structured role, and she found it so boring. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, if only she knew what the actual available roles there were in different industry, like different facets of marketing and advertising and all that stuff, then she would have known not to apply for that role, and she wouldn't have been happy. That's why we thought talking about it, and hopefully during the Q&A, you guys can ask more questions so that we can guide you and help you figure out what you're applying for is really what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oop. How do you decide what's for you? I have my own take on this, and Mel has hers. I'll start. For me, for my journey into this career, how I knew that I wanted to be an account manager, because honestly, an account manager role, it's a boring role. I mean, you could ask my coworkers in the back. They probably hate that role. It's a shit job. All you do is write emails, make sure everyone's doing their jobs, and you're organizing, having all the ducks in a row. But I realized that I wanted this job, and I didn't even know it existed, was because of the fact that I sat myself down after uni. I was unemployed for 5 months. And as I was applying for different roles, I was like, what am I going to do? I thought, what am I really good at? And one of the things that I knew that I was really good at was, 1, being hella organized. 2, I really like being in people's businesses. I loved controlling people as well. So then I started brainstorming. These are the things that I love to do and I'm really good at, and I get a kick out of. They're laughing, but honestly, I love doing that shit. And I found client service and account service. From then on, I've been in this role for like 3, running to 4 years now, and I'm pretty happy. I think one of the things I thought about, because especially when you switch from the first job to the second one and then keep on jumping, you often wonder, oh my God, am I ever going to get a job like this again? Da, 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 da. And then I thought, actually, regardless of what I do, as long as as long as I'm doing these types of roles, which is being, dealing with clients, dealing with teams, managing people, organizing things, I'm pretty sure I'll be happy. Because my client roster, only a few of them are pretty fun. I have a telco company. Telcos aren't sexy. The things that we do sometimes are, but the telco in general is not sexy. 1NZ is not sexy by no means, sometimes. I have other clients, which is like personal brands that are just mentors, and it's not sexy, but it's fun because I get to do I get to play and work with my strengths.
Yeah. And I guess in my case, I just went out there and tried different things because like it's impossible to really know what you like until you try it. And so like I started off my career in account management, and if you've done account management, and Danya can attest to it, it's a very broad role. And I realized that I was very much like, I loved being behind a screen, analyzing data, and coming up with like solutions and like recommendations from that data. So like, yeah, I just love just being behind the screen and pitter-pattering away and sending emails. And that's pretty much like why I pretty much ended up here, because like I don't know, like it just naturally became a thing for me. Like I went from, my first role was in a tech role. I was an account manager at a tech company. And then from there, I was like, I kind of miss marketing. I was in a marketing club at uni, and I was like really into marketing at uni. And I was just kind of like, oh, I want to go back to marketing. And so I quit that job and I went to another agency, and all we did was literally it was like one of those startup agencies that you literally did everything. So I got a taste of literally everything. And I realized that the thing that I really loved was writing up reports, honestly. And it sounds so boring, but like whatever floats your boat, And for me, yeah, that's why I kind of ended up here. And when I got this role, it was kind of a conversation of like, look, it's going to be really boring. You're going to just be replying to comments, but it can be whatever you want it to be. And so me and Danya, when Danya came on board, and we just kind of looked at each other, and we were just like, actually, I feel like we need to start doing reporting for our clients. And then both of us just ended up rolling out a whole reporting system for this agency. And yeah, I think it's pretty much like trial and error along the way, and figuring out whatever is the thing that like sparks your what's the phrase?
Joy? I don't know.
Sparks joy. That's the word. But yeah, for me it was like trial and error, and it's completely fine to like not know in the beginning.
Cool. The second thing we thought we'd love to talk to you guys about is personal brand. What about personal brand?
Yeah. So, well, some of you guys might have found us on TikTok with our crazy Joni versus Stan videos, where she convinces him to basically get a tattoo with her if their bet falls true or something along those lines. But actually, this business was built off personal brands. And the reason why we believe so much in personal brand is because it literally built this business. It literally built this business and enabled the growth of this entire team. And then eventually, like, now they're in New York, drumming up business there. And it's like crazy to see the growth from just one personal brand, which was Stanley's. And like, oftentimes I feel like when I go to these events, when I'm at the university with you guys, a question that we get asked often is like, oh, like, what do I do? Where do I start? Is it too late to start? And I feel like it's a common challenge that even we have within our team.
To this day.
Yeah. It's like being in your head, but at the end of the day, it's just about starting. It's just about getting over that like initial hurdle. Wow, I can't speak. But and starting. And so an easy question to just kind of ask yourself right off the bat is like, what do you want to be known for? And what is the impression that you want to leave when it comes to your employers? Yeah. I want to say that a lot of people ask what they can share, and honestly, it doesn't really matter. You can share, like, it doesn't have to be the ins and outs of your life, but Like, think about what you want to be known for. Think about what impression you want to leave. And then from there, like, experiment with how you want to frame that story. For us, it's just really about consistency. I think there's a slide that says consistency. Yeah, for us, it's really just about consistency. Like, Stanley, a couple months ago, had our entire team basically do a 30-day challenge where we had to post on LinkedIn every single day.
I hated it. I hated it so much, guys.
And it was so uncomfortable for a lot of us, but we all did it because at the end of the day, like, unless you're walking the talk as an agency, you're not really like, it's kind of hypocritical if we're telling our clients to do the same. So that was an exercise as a team. But for me personally, I was so like in my head about posting content online, but I just kind of did it partially because, and Danya, I feel like you were on the same page with me on this. It was kind of like like you say that I can't do it, I'll definitely do it now.
Well, Stan told me I couldn't do it. He point blank said, you can't do it, Danya. And I said, fuck you, I will do it now. This is what drives me. So I did it. And I haven't done it again. Which I'm really sorry. This is caught on camera. Sorry, Stan. I'll start again, promise.
But yeah, like for me personally, like I had one post that I was just writing for the sake of writing, but it like blew up and it got like 10K impressions or something within those 30 days. And when you think about it, if your post, if you guys right now like put out content and one post blows up, that's how many eyeballs that could also be a potential employer in the future. So yeah, personal brand is kind of a powerful kind of tool in that regard. And lastly, because I'm in community management, I have to say this, you gotta connect and comment. On average, like we always tell our clients that it increases your visibility online by at least 30%. So you wanna get out there, comment, connect with people, invite them out to coffees. I know it sounds really cringy, but do it because it's uncomfortable initially, but then like once you like invest in building that connection and building that network, the most important thing, I guess, when I'm saying this is that you just gotta make sure that you're being seen out there. You're being seen and you're being seen for like what you can bring to the table. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say in regards to that.
Oh, my favorite part of the presentation, reality check. We thought, okay, I think this is probably the most important part of the whole presentation. What's actually, what's it actually like to be a marketing girly and everything in this industry, or even just growing your, building your career? No one really tells you that unless you don't really learn it unless you go through it yourself. I had an intern, and the first thing I did with her is I sat her down and I told her, what the fuck is up? I just said everything. I was like, if you want to work in this role, in this industry, and here's what's up. And the first thing that I told her was, when you start a job, the first 6 months, you are absolutely useless. You won't bring anything to the table. As much as you think you're a rock star when you join a company, you are nothing unless after that 6 months. And you might think, nah, I'm good. I got the skills. You really won't, because you have so much growth. That 6 months is such a crucial time to learn and ask the right questions. If you don't do that, then you're dying. We have this value in our company, which is either grow or die every day. We think about that. Are we either growing or dying? And if we're not growing, we're hella dying, and it's not good. The next one was, marketing can be glamorous, but that's literally the 1% of it. Look, I have a cool job. I have cool clients. I have one in Zed who works with the Warriors. So yeah, I get to hang out with the Warriors. Sometimes you get to go to the games, which is fun. And we get to go to concerts.
She gets to film Tovlo? She gets to film.
No, that's Tones and I.
Tones and I. Oh
Tyler met 50 Cent. I'm going to Travis Scott end of October. They're all fun. But as much as they're fun, it's that 1% moment where you're like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then 99% of the time, you're working. And it's sometimes shit. And that's just how it is. And with any job, not just marketing, that's honestly your day. It's just, you got to go through that hell to enjoy that one slice of like enjoyment of life, of like your job. You really have to do the mahi to really get the treats. And you have to understand that. You can't just keep on asking me like, oh my God, my clients are boring, da 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 da. Our thing for us, for this company, the thing that, what was it that Stan says? What gets us up in the morning, get us out of bed, is we want to do cool shit. And in order to do cool shit, we have to do shit work first. And if that means staying late last Friday till 6 p.m. for the video editors, or leave right now taking photos, or like recording podcasts and doing all this stuff, you just have to do it.
Yeah, it's a very like work hard, play hard kind of like environment if you're working in agency, and especially when you're doing marketing in agency. But I feel like it's worth it because it's like you get to have the experiences where you meet 50 Cent, not that I'm a 50 Cent fan, but like someone in his caliber, and you get to kind of look back on your life and your career and have these moments that you can be like, oh wow, actually I had such a cool life. And yeah, I think it's still like, even though it's like hard work, don't get me wrong, it's really cool because like us working hard and like till late some days means that we get to host dating shows. We get to like do all these other random shit. And yeah.
Another one which I'll announce later, and you're all invited to, but I'll tell you about that later. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah. And I want to say that having been in the industry for not very long, to be honest. I've been in it for 3 years now. I think it's really important for like new people coming in to know what you're there for, because there are days where it's going to be a little bit harder, and you need to always have that North Star in mind. Like, you're here to learn, you're here to absorb as much as you can, or like you're here to do X, Y, Z, and then from there, like you just want to have a general kind of like purpose and an intention as to like why you're in a certain place at a certain time, because that's with that intention and that like goal in mind, that's when you get the most out of your experiences in your career. So yeah. Another thing that I always like to say, and also I recently had an interview with someone and for a podcast of mine, but and she was basically saying about like a really good trait for someone who will definitely get, like, for someone new coming in terms of getting ahead in their career, is always thinking 2 steps ahead. So like, let's say that you're in an internship, the easiest way to stand out is if you're given a task, let's say some background research, or you're creating a PR influencer list, and think 2 steps ahead. Like, what are the 2 steps after that? How can you make someone's experience working with you that much easier? Because you know how you get ahead is when people want to work with you and they start looping you into more projects, and you get to add that to your CV. So yeah.
Ask Brooke. She's one of our first successful interns. Intern to full time. And then we got Abdel as well, right here.
Yeah.
What number is this one? Number 5? 5th tip, 5th reality check is, as much as you dislike group projects at uni, every day that you enter this office, and every day you enter your office, it's a group project. Anything you do, it's a group project. So make sure that you take the time at uni with your group projects, with whatever subject you have, and learn how to rally people behind you, because that's honestly what it's like working in a team. Every day is like, every situation you're in, it's always a team effort. There's no one moment where it's just you that's doing the work. It's always going to be someone helped you in order to do a campaign or a project. So make sure that you don't just bitch about your group projects and your group assignments and all that stuff, because it actually matters. Yeah. And I didn't realize that until after the fact.
Yeah, like, quite honestly, like, it's probably the most valuable skill that you can develop. Like, the marketing, the marketing that you have at uni right now, it's all theory and it's great, but by the time that you're out in the industry, it's probably past. But the thing that you can really develop is how you work with people and how you get people to rally behind an idea, and that kind of skill set is honestly invaluable. Like invaluable to any team, any company that you work for.
Yeah.
That kind of thing sets you apart.
Especially imagine if you can do that. If you can do that in a group project, imagine if you can do that in front of a client, where you can rally the client behind your idea that you're presenting. It's so important. Immediately upsell. That's
Queen
what
of
I love
upsells right
doing. Another one, number 6, is first impressions are everything. When we say that, we mean as in like when you do interviews, for us at least, for the attention seeker, we have 3 stages in our interview process. It sounds a lot. Sometimes I do think it's a lot. The first one is a group interview. The second one is a vibe check with the people that you're mostly going to work with. And then the last one is with whatever manager or boss you have that will interview you, and they're going to convince you not to take the job. But for the most part, interviews, the moment you land an interview and you book one, it's purely vibe check, because they wouldn't invite you if you didn't have the skills. You already got the skills. They saw your CV, they clicked on it, they read it, and they said, she's good enough to be here. Now it's all vibe check. And when it comes to first impressions, we're not saying try to change who you are and be the best person. Just try to be who you are. That's it. First impressions of who you truly are. It matters a lot, because there's a saying that we love to, like I personally love to use here, is shit floats to the surface. So no matter how hard you try and hide it, it'll just always end up, people will find out.
Yeah. And I feel like, honestly, like when I first came, I was like, one of the biggest things when I was a student that I was super insecure about was like, I'm such an introvert. I don't know how I'm going to stand out amongst all of these people who are like boisterous and like know exactly how to sell themselves. But honestly, I think it's just about persistence and making sure that you're seen and seen in a way that's like authentically you. Mm-hmm. So for example, honestly, I didn't get through my first round of interviews here at TAS. And immediately when I got a rejection letter, I connected with all of the senior leadership on LinkedIn, like literally a second later. And then I like messaged Stanley and was like, hey, thank you for the group interview. We'll be supporting you guys from afar anyway. And that small touch point, honestly, if you ask him today, like that makes a difference. And that's the reason he remembered me for the next role. So like always follow up after interviews. It makes a difference, I promise you. And yeah, like I wouldn't like, don't let that like first impression thing also scare you, because at the same time, it's like, if they didn't like you at the interview, it's not a reflection on you per se. It could just be the fact that you're not the right fit. And in the long term, it wouldn't have worked out anyway. So like, don't take it to heart. If anything, just take it as a learning opportunity, ask for feedback, and just take it on the chin and just keep moving forward.
And keep in mind, when it comes to like interviews, as the person, like employer side, having held many interviews for the attention seeker, there's already an existing dynamic in the office, so don't take the rejection to heart. It just means that we also have to think, does your personality fit with a shit ton of personalities in this office? Because we have a few people have strong personalities, and then a few that aren't, and right now it's pretty balanced, and then we have to weigh it out, like, does yours fit enough that it's still balanced? It's all about that, guys. Vibe check. And lastly, the world is smaller than you think. The marketing industry here in New Zealand and the marketing industry globally is smaller than you think. So always act with grace. That was the first piece of advice when I got my first job in advertising. I was told to not exit a company in a bad note. Even if I hated it, or even if there was drama and it was a hard time in my life, whatever it is, always act with grace. And it's not just about like obviously leaving it, but just like in anything that you do, always act with grace, because you never know who this other person that you're interacting with will pass on, that experience that they had with you.
Yeah, and also like it's like, I want to say references down the line can make or break a kind of application. Even 5 years down the line. I literally called up a reference the other day and like he hasn't seen this girl for 4 years. She's gone to like New York, came back, and he was just like, I can count on my hands the amount of superstars that I've worked with, and she is one of them. And I was like, sold, and contract sent. But yeah, basically, like, it's a smaller world than you think, and like that's why we say, put yourself out there, be seen, but also like make sure that like what's the saying, like one bridge burnt is one too many, and you want to always be thinking about building your network, building your connections, and yeah, focus on that, because like you never know like down the line like which string you can tug for a future job, for a
Future campaign. Anything.
Yeah, like
The
Danya
countless of
literally.
ones that I've done where I like had one chat with them. And I was like, hi, I have a client that wants to do this with you guys. And they're like, oh my God, I don't even know you. Sure. Immediately, my life was saved.
Yeah, 100%.
You just never know. Also, when you're working in the industry, save those numbers. In my old job, I had to deal, because I was an account exec and an senior account exec, I had to talk and call so many like media partners and all that stuff. I saved their numbers and where they worked at, because then now I could like, I think it was like a few months ago, I just said to our head of strategy, I was like, oh yeah, I know someone in MediaWorks. Popped a called them, I was like, hey, remember me from that one time we talked? Save it. Connections are everything. It makes the whole difference.
Yeah, and for the most part, I know it's like such a big ask to, and such a big mental hurdle sometimes to just pick up the phone and cold call someone that you barely know. But honestly, most of the time, people are more than willing to help. And if they aren't, honestly, screw them. So, like, yeah, don't let it stop you.
And that concludes our presentation. I'm gonna pull up a chair. Is there any questions? Let's chat.
Oh my gosh, I want to pull up a chair too. That's such a good idea.
You also have Brooke, who's a community manager behind you guys, and Tyler, who's a videographer. If you have any questions for them as well, if you want to get into their roles or want to know their story. Anyone?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So like, what would you say are the benefits to like working in an agency, a marketing agency, rather than like a marketing component of a larger company?
Oh my God, I love this question. I got asked this so many times. For me, the reason why I love working in agencies because I'm the type of person that loves to do things a lot, like a lot of things at the same time. And I also don't love a company enough. I can't think of a singular company that I love enough to just represent and work for. So I think the benefits of working in an agency is being able to touch different types of campaign, because not a single one of my clients are the same from each other. Every single one of them is different. I have to deal with different people, different types of deliverables, different creative strategies, and it's fun. It's so fun. Variety in your life. If you're the kind of person that needs variety, definitely work in an agency.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing too. Like it's like for me, it was literally variety. Like I couldn't, similar to Danya, I couldn't think of a brand that I wanted like to spend all of my days on. But
Yeah.
I could think of brands that I wanted to work with.
Yeah, multiple.
Yeah. And yeah, it's really just about like, I remember, I think I had a conversation with, this is when I was a student, I was literally sitting in a panel similar to this. Well, not really a panel, but like, and the lady who was part of the panel was basically saying that when you're young coming in, like a really good place to learn a lot of things at once and figure out what you like is an agency, because you're exposed to a lot of things at the same time. And then from there, like, I want to say the difference is that like agency is broad with a focus on certain areas. And when you work internally within a marketing team, it's very detail orientated. It's very like, does this align with the brand? But yeah, whereas like if you work with within an agency, it's more about like, what fresh perspective can I bring to this brand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And personally, I think it's easier. It's easier to go agency first and then in-house, than in-house first and then agency. Because as a person who looks at a CV and all I see is you've only worked for one company, or at least only a few other companies, but one brand at the same, like on once at a time, I then think, can you handle multiple clients can you handle multiple deadlines? If you can't, then I'm not even gonna ask for an interview. So I think it's better to try go agency first before going in-house, just because of the variety.
Yeah, but that being said, it's both our biased opinions because we both love agency.
Everything in this broken presentation is our biased opinion. But I feel like that's a given. You had your hand up earlier.
Okay, this is more like personal questions. What is like the unique selling point of TAS that make you drawn to TAS more than other marketing agencies?
Oh God, I sound like a broken record. It's the culture. You don't understand. In the morning, we have this thing called morning huddle, where everyone stands around here like what you guys are doing, and we shout each other out. Shout one person who has exampled our value, one of the values in the company. Yes, shout out tomorrow is for you, Brooke and Lee and Tyler for staying. And then a challenge, because the reason why we bring a challenge is because if you have a challenge, you never know who might actually be able to help. So we do that. It's very kumbaya. And then we sit together here at lunch, and then we like hang out together. It's just, it's a nice place that really makes sure that the people who work alongside each other, they like each other, because we spend so much time. I spend like 8 hours here. So hopefully I like Brooke, Tyler, Lee, and Mel. So yeah, they prioritize that. Stan really does. That's cute.
I think for me, it was just, I think it was very unique, like this place and how it embraces really diverse and different personalities. Like I want to say, no one person here is similar to the other, like by no means. And I think because of those like differences, I've been in a lot of companies where I was the only one that looked a little bit different, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I think with different personalities and different perspectives and different, like vastly different backgrounds, there will be those friction points, but it's true, those like collision of ideas and like tension points that you learn the most from each other. And I feel like I'm just 1.5 years in, and I went from community manager to head of community management. And I feel like I've changed so much. Back in the day,
She's louder by a decibel, guys.
Yeah, back in the day, I barely spoke, and now I'm like speaking in front of people. So that's crazy. So I think it's the fact that it's an environment that facilitates high growth within people. Yeah.
It does get tiring sometimes. I'm gonna be honest. Constantly trying to be better than you were before. Yeah. It's really tiring. You just want to lay in bed and rot. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah?
Is your like current jobs your current like the dream job that you envision? Or is there something else you want to achieve in the next 5 years? Or?
I don't have a dream job, to be honest. Like I feel like for me, it's about learning, and like as much as I would like to say that like there is a dream job for me, there really isn't. For me, it's more about like, okay, like do I feel challenged right now? And where do I want to be heading? And where do I think that I have the most like avenue, like space for growth right now? And for me, within the community management space at least, it's a conversation that is growing in the industry, and we don't know where it's heading yet. And that's why it's exciting to me, is that I get to build something out of nothing. And that's why I like what I do right now.
I don't think I have a dream job. I have milestones that I want to achieve, which is essentially climb as high as I can in the account service role. I think the highest that I can climb up is head of accounts. So I'm halfway. Next one is either senior account manager or account director. So yeah, that's mine. I want to hit the milestones of that, and then eventually be a managing director of a company. Who knows? Yeah.
Cool.
One more.
Yeah.
Like what aspects of your daily routine here really like really align with the values of TAS? Like how you sit in morning meetings, or you sit your was it like pros and cons kind of perks and
Our shout outs and our challenges.
So like what other things are part of your daily routine that really represent TAS as a company?
Lee, do you want to answer that? Tyler, what about you? What represents Taz in our daily routines here?
I think I think I have. I
Oh, you
kinda
go?
think I have an
You got
answer. We do this thing that I'm not sure if a lot of agencies traditionally do, but we do a lot of agile content. It's the reason why a lot of our clients say that we understand social media best. And it's meaning that like we literally, as a team, look at our content and think, how can we 10x this? And a lot of the
Oh
time,
yeah,
like,
that's cute.
yeah, and a lot of the time, like, for example, like me, Brooke, and like the rest of the rest of the community management team, plus our new strategy director, Connor Ritchie, who has a background in paid media, and he used to live and breathe reporting. We were literally like, we locked ourselves in a room and we're tearing apart our like current reports and like asking ourselves, how can this be better? Because right now, like it's good, but it could be better. You know, it can always be better, and I think that's a big part of our culture. And like we have this system that we run within like each department called EOS as well,
Yeah.
where we openly discuss issues.
Grab my laptop.
And there's just open communication and transparency across the board. Like we're not shy about just raising issues that we think need to be raised. And I think that's a big part of the reason why we're able to grow so much as a team. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys mentioned already that you'll do social media best, or that's what your plans have said. How would you actually go about making your content? Like, can you walk me through the process of how you guys decide what to create, go with the trends, or create your own trend, stuff like that?
Danya.
It's hard to create your own trend. Also, no idea is a new idea. Everything is a remake of something that already exists in the world, and people love to go, "Oh my God, why did you copy me?" And I'm like, "Girl, someone already did that before you." Joni's content, everything that we do, it's a remake of something else. But in terms of creating, sorry. Cool. In terms of making your own content, the way we go about it, oh, this is hard. The way we go about it. we start with pillars, I guess. Pillars.
Yeah.
And then by pillars, it's like, what do you want to talk about? So for myself, let's put me on the spot. Let's break down my one. For my personal brand, which is not Danya, the content that I haven't been making but I want to make is living my life in my 20s. And living my best life, living my life the best way I know how. And in terms of content pillars, I should be making OOTDs, daily vlogs, mini vlogs, weekly recaps, and all that stuff. And I haven't been making it, but that's how we do it. It's what do you want to talk about, and then what is the output of that.
Yeah.
If you think of it like that, it'll be easier.
Yeah. And a lot of it as well is like, we have this process called a discovery process where we literally lock ourselves and the client in a room and ask them a lot of questions. And that's pretty much the starting point. And then from there, we get our strategy team, and then their magic brains do a little something. And then it goes off to the accounts team, and then they just kind of communicate with the client and figure out if there's something that's aligned with them. And then from there, it's literally a partnership all throughout the journey. And then yeah, it just goes through the entire team, and out comes content.
Yeah. I realized and I remembered that I actually sent out a form. And I have one here that submitted a question, which I'm going to read out, and then we'll try and answer it. What are the ideal skills businesses look for when hiring marketers? Okay, cool. Skills that businesses look for when hiring marketers. Soft skills, hard skills. I mean, obviously it would be really nice if you know about, for example, for us, we always ask, and it's not a deal breaker, but we go, do you consume social media? And then they go, yeah, we do this. Okay, do you consume TikTok? It's not a deal breaker, but as long as you know the app and it exists, it matters to us. That's one thing. And then another thing is like soft skills. I personally tend to ask questions that help me hyperanalyze the person and what they're like. For example, it's really hard to gauge initiative, but initiative is such a strong skill that people, regardless of what company they are, they try and look for in people, in employee, what's it called? Employees, yeah.
Yeah.
They, like initiative in itself, like the countless of times, we've had a few interns who didn't have initiative, and it really was just such a letdown to not have them be successful in getting a full-time job here. But then we have amazing stars like Brookie, who did have initiative, who then was successful in landing a job. Although it is hard because you're in an interview, that is such a strong skill that I'm like, no doubt people will always look for.
Yeah, and I think a really simple way for us, I want to say a way that I look at in terms of initiative is like, do you have a track record of putting yourself out of like in an uncomfortable position and trying something new? Do you have a track record of maybe like going for a case competition? That's not super uncomfortable. Or do you have a track record of applying to be an executive team in a club or something like that? Like small things that show that initiative. Or maybe you wrote like an article for the Crackham. Like small things like that, like that you can add to just show us that like, oh, like I actually have tried 1,000,001 things, and like this is like how much I want this, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more things you try, the more you figure out what you like.
Yeah.
And that really helps us figure out like whether it's an aligned kind of like role for you as well.
Yeah. Because obviously, like when you leave uni, you are very much rough around the edges. So as an employer trying to hire someone, we're not trying to find the right person for the job. We're trying to find the right person who has the right attitude for it. And it always falls down to that one. Because if you don't have the right attitude, immediately go out. Get out of here. Because I don't have time for it. Because then you'll have those kind of people who don't have the right attitude. They start complaining, and it just brings down the vibes. Yeah, sure, we bitch and moan about, this place, but there's a difference. There's a stark difference between having a bitch and moan about sometimes your clients compared to innately just not being a lazy person and not even trying. That's the thing that I hate the most, when people don't try. Because you can't say that you failed if you didn't try, You can't say that you can't say you've given your best, you've done everything, and you can't complain if you haven't tried.
Yeah.
Anything else, or should we? I know it's 6:00, but honestly, we set up this whole place, so please do take photos.
Also, as you know, like...
Oh yeah, sorry, my last thing that I want to announce. Taz is turning this place into a cafe Friday morning from 7 to 8. I know it's early. I'm so sorry. I'm not organizing it. For free coffees, our contra client Flight Coffee is providing free coffees. And then we have Butter Baby, who's a bakery that's giving out free cookies. So if you want to come hang out with us Friday morning, please do come. It's not something that we're marketing out because, oh my God, imagine if we did, and then we just have a bunch of people trying to get free coffees. That's hard. But yeah, so that's it. Thank you.
Lastly, though, I
Oh
do
my
want
God,
to
sorry.
say, with this, like obviously with the reality check stuff, it sounds really intense, but at the end of the day, like this is us kind of sharing stuff like that we learned along the way, and this is an honest conversation on what the industry is like and what to expect going in. As much as it's like kind of intense sometimes, it's honestly high reward as well. Like we wouldn't trade our jobs for the world, honestly, because we just have the coolest jobs, I feel.
I mean, if I could not work and still have income, I would trade this job. But honestly, all jokes aside, if you have any other questions, if you want to pop in for a chat, message us on LinkedIn. We love making coffees and having chats with people. If you want any other advice, hit us up. Or if you think our advice is bullshit, that's also all good. Here for the vibes. That's all. Thanks, guys. Laser photographer. Give him a little, if you got any photos, let him know.
I can do any color.
Yeah, we have any color. We just have to change it with DMX. And then if anyone wants, I can take them around for a little tour as well, while some other people can have photos, drinks, network. Yeah!